Sit down, Bhumika.
Thank you.
Bhumika, your optional subject is geography. Right? It's your natural choice because your graduation it is in environmental engineering.
Yes.
Now tell me the difference between environmental science and engineering.
So environmental science is more of a theoretical aspect of understanding the environment. In environmental engineering, we are more focused on the applied part, which includes the design of water treatment plants, sewage treatment, understanding the application of air pollution, how we can. So we're more working on the technological and applied portion of the environment.
Okay, for then Delhi pollution. Actually, the factors there are different factors which are responsible. So, which technology actually means you can suggest which can reduce pollution in Delhi, or some technologies that already we are using to reduce pollution.
So for Delhi pollution, we have to consider it in there is a preventive measure and the one which is already there. So to treat that, so technologies with respect to treating the pollutants in the air presently can be like the mass air purifiers, afforestation. You can things like that. Like technologically, if we speak.
Yeah, I'm talking about technological application.
Application in the sense?
Miss, you are saying that engineering is application.
Yes,
Okay. Science is knowing about the reason.
Yes, sir.
Okay, theoretical.
Yes.
Engineering is application.
Yes, sir.
So, which actual technological application which are available in various countries, then you will like to implement in Delhi so that it will reduce pollution up to a certain extent.
Yes, sir. So for short-term measures, you can do things like artificial rains. We can do mechanized cleaning of the road so that the dust particles are not. They are settled in the air, not settled in the air, and you can do air purifiers like China has giant air purifiers that can be used. And again, greening will be a natural way, like if you have rooftop greening and things like this, which will help in reducing the amount of effect.
Your optional subject is geography.
Yes, sir.
Actually, in geography we study human geography. Okay,
Yes.
there are two parts: physical geography, human geography.
Yes, sir.
Why we study human geography? First thing, tell me what is geography?
So geography is a discipline where you have the intermixing of physical, atmospheric and the human component of any given environment or ecosystem. So you are studying it holistically. And human geography is important because geography you need the interrelation for a geographical study. It is vastly dependent on the human community, the settlers. So there is a very strong interlinkage between the geographical area and the kind of habitation, the kind of culture
Example?
which is existing there.
Tell me, link between the culture and geographical environment.
So like if you talk about India itself, we have a varied topography. So the kind of culture in the Himalayas, where the house building is different, the kind of agricultural practices they do is like terrace farming, and the houses they build, the irrigation systems they follow is a little different from what you do in your plain area where.
Yeah, I'm talking about social culture. Does it affect social culture also?
Yes, so social culture also in the sense depends on your livelihood. Livelihood opportunities that you're doing. So let's say that so in the Arctic or in Russians where there is ice, so you will have the Eskimos and you will have that kind of culture where igloos are there, etc. But in other areas of the world, the kind of culture is different.
Tell me one example, like supposing in India, okay, you can use your knowledge of human geography in your administration. So can you find such example? Can you create this type of relationship?
So knowledge of human geography also includes the kind of development plans that you create.
Give me example, concrete example. It's a theoretical
So like tribals. So human geography, you study about the tribal regions, the problems they have. So once you're in the administration, you can, with that knowledge of tribal area development, you can implicate.
How? Means that example I need, because again it's a theoretical, because tribal development or to know the tribes, their tradition, custom. It's a part of human geography that we
Yes,
study.
yes.
So how we can use it in administration? This is a plain statement. We can use it. But how it will be helpful?
So, like in the study, we understand that they have problems related. Their health problems are little different from others. Like for malaria, they have sickle cell anemia, which is not there in the regular population. So, as an administrator in that region, you will take special health benefits, etc., to cater to that particular demand. So, as an example,
Have you heard about empty forest syndrome?
So,
Do you know what is a bushmeat? Do you know anything about COP12? COP11, which happened in Hyderabad, CBD?
Yes, sir. COP11 was a convention on biodiversity, and it happened in Hyderabad.
So,
Which
what was the major discussions which happened, and what was the major outcome of the COP in 2011?
So COP11 was substantial for India because we took a front runner this thing in conservation and environmental talks. So
What kind of conservation?
sir, in with respect to the species conservation,
Which species?
sir, let's say the snow leopard plan we have, or we have Project Tiger and
Snow leopard and Project Tiger were discussed in COP11.
sir, not specifically, but it was our commitment to increase projects like this about increasing our green cover, etc.
Are you sure?
So to the extent I know this is understand.
So, what is the difference between geology and geomorphology?
So, geology is the study of rocks, and geomorphology is more about the processes involved in landscape development. So, in geology, you're more concerned about the structure and the properties and the characteristics. In geomorphology, you're
What is
also
urban
studying-
morphology?
Yeah. So urban morphology is understanding the cities, their habitation, population, the kind of settlement that is happening.
So, what is the problem with the urban morphology? I mean, what is the main issue, or what is the main thing which you need to take care while you are a city planner?
Sir, as a city planner, you have to understand the kind of population you have, the availability of land, what are the future possibilities of migration in the city, the growth, the industries, and you have to plan it in accordance with all the factors concerned. Sir, also a problem in urban morphology in India is the creation of slums and the unplanned settlement which happens.
Why do we fail in creating new cities in India, like we did in London or any other city? Why do we fail? Are we not following proper model, or what is the issue you face?
So, as far as I understand, in creating new cities, the important part is about bringing sources of employment in a particular place, and I understand that we fail in that particular aspect where the growth points in our country have become very well defined, but with recent efforts that has been improving. And
What efforts?
so, like we have the Sagarmala plan, so we are moving towards more organized coastal development. So earlier, the coastal cities were limited to Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata. They were more dense. But now that we have a plan, there is possibility that certain diversification will happen.
What is the problem with India's growth centers, growth poles? You know growth poles, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you define it?
So growth poles are basically the centers.
Who gave this term? Growth poles.
Sir, I cannot remember right now. But sorry, sir.
Geography is the option, right?
Yes, sir.
But you can always go back and see. Okay,
Yes,
then
sir.
define it.
So growth poles are centers of attraction in a particular area where
Center of attraction for what? Film acting or like?
where maximum economic activity is occurring and it is attracting people, workforce migration, etc.
So you need to seriously study your what syllabus, part B of your syllabus, right? Do you think have you heard of Finance Commission?
Yes.
Which Finance Commission is going on?
So 15th finance.
15th Finance Commission. So what do they do?
So the role of Finance Commission is to decide the way money will be allocated to states, and it is basically upholding the federal system in the country.
Which article says? Is it a constitutional body or?
So it is a constitutional body.
Okay, so in 14th Finance Commission, on what basis they gave the money to the states?
So
What were the criteria?
So on 14 Finance Commission, the criteria were population, level of development, their fiscal discipline, etc.
What about forest?
There was weightage for forest, which has, as I remember, has increased in the 15th Finance Commission.
So is it a good criteria?
Sir, considering that the most forested areas of our country are still not developing as fast as the other, which are more resource abundant areas, as the economic survey has said, are lagging behind, it could help them in improving.
So what about those states who doesn't have forest cover?
Sir, for them, the criteria like population, their etc. will also fulfill the same kind of.
Do you think we should remove the forest criteria and have climate change instead? Forest is too narrow a criteria.
Sir, I don't understand how we will be able to quantify climate change based on state, but it could be something like carbon emission or in that respect. As the yeah. So
why there is so much of pollution in Delhi but not in Mumbai?
So for
do you think there is a difference in level of pollution in both the cities?
Yes, Delhi
Which
is
city
the
has
most.
more?
Delhi is the
Why?
most polluted city. Sir, there
In
are.
fact, Mumbai has most of the industries. I mean, in terms of comparatively, I am saying. Still,
Yes.
why it is there?
Sir, if you compare Mumbai, Delhi directly, one of the reasons would be about, I think, being a coastal city, there is constant breeze. So the amount of wind circulation will be more in Mumbai, and in Delhi, the wind system creates a. In winter, it makes the particles settle, so it is higher in Delhi. And apart from
What
that,
is
the stubble
continentality?
burning. So continentality is when the city is far away from the sea area, so there is no direct everyday.
Sir, please.
You have mentioned COP23.
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me that why Montreal Protocol succeeded, whereas Kyoto Protocol failed in achieving its target?
Montreal Protocol has very well-defined targets and has included developed countries in it with proper timelines. While Kyoto Protocol, there have been, like the US has has not acceded to it, so higher polluters have taken away their allegiance from Kyoto Protocol, and sir, also the Montreal Protocol has a better mechanism to ensure that the commitments that are being made are compliant.
Do you feel that overall structure of Kyoto Protocol and overall time period which has been given, there is some fault in that? Overall, the way of implementation and the way how we can implement it to the grassroots level, they did not have any type of mechanism for that. In terms of UNFCCC, you are directly connected with the UNFCCC.
Yes.
So, did you find anything that the working of UNFCCC itself, there are some lacunas?
Yes, sir. So the basic lacunas are that the commitments which are made in conferences do not substantiate into actual working. Also, the basic problem is the technology transfer from developed to developing countries. So, since developing countries don't have the kind of finance for R&D, unless that happens, unless the transfer of technology and finance happens, it will be very difficult for the
Can
developing
you tell
world
me
to.
at what level we were succeeded, world community is successful in reducing the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere? What was the target in Kyoto Protocol? Reduction target.
Sorry, I cannot remember right now.
What is Champions of Earth Award? Who got it?
So I'm not aware.
You are not aware?
Okay.
Are you stressed, Bhumika?
No, sir. Like
You also
the
seem to be
normal
doing
amount
yoga.
of stress which
You also
will.
seem to be doing yoga.
Yes, sir.
Does it have any effect in reducing the stress?
Sir, I think during the preparation period it has for me in everyday working because I used to do yoga in the morning, so I think it led me to have a clearer
Do you
head.
follow any particular yoga guru or someone?
No, sir. I just do the normal Surya Namaskar exercise, and that is basically in the morning for 4 or 5 rounds.
Do you know anything about Aditya Mission of India?
Yes, sir. Aditya mission is for you have to. It is specifically to observe sun's cryosphere, and it is.
Sun's cryosphere.
No, sir. I'm sorry, but we're going to put it on a Lagrange point from where you can observe the. For it is for examination of sun. As far as I'm aware.
Bhumika, now let's move towards other issues, social issues. Must must know the Ayodhya issue clearly. So this is pending since so many years. Our politics, national politics, is revolving around Ayodhya issue. So what suggestion you will suggest that this will go from politics, or at least it will satisfy most of the people to solve?
Sir, it is obviously a very complicated issue because it is already there in the Supreme Court. It has been taking
Yes,
so
the
long.
Supreme Court will take care of it. I'm talking
Yes.
about yourself. Miss, I'm asking your opinion.
Sir,
Ultimately, Supreme Court will take decision. Okay, but suppose, Miss, as a Indian, you can suggest particular solution. So it will be better for Indian society, Indian development. Anything.
sir, for according to me, if we in the Ayodhya issue, when it is about faith and it is about people wanting a particular place to worship and they have their rights and disputed territory, but this kind of when if the people are involved in something more productive, in if they have if they have good employment opportunities, they
Yeah, I'm
have.
talking about that issue. These are the peripheral issue. Okay. No recent thing is happening about triple talaq, the triple talaq issue that is also in news nowadays. So, actually, do you support this government movement or legislative movement to bring a bill and banning it?
So because Supreme Court has said triple talaq is
Yes, so not
unconstitutional,
about Supreme
so
Court.
we have.
I'm talking about you. Your opinion on legislative that move.
Yes, sir. I would support banning triple talaq because of equality and women's rights.
Then what about religious personal rights, religious rights?
Sir, religious rights are important, but we have to ensure that the basic human right of a person is not violated because of it, and it is an issue where the people, the sufferers, the women have themselves voiced against it. So I think it is in a progressive context that it has been
There are certain critics of that bill itself. There are
Yes.
certain lacunas in that bill.
Yes.
This is actually critic of some people, some section. They're
Yes.
saying that there are some lacunas, shortcomings.
Yes.
So on the basis of what it is criticized?
So the lacunas in the bill are one that the marriage is a civil contract and the bill criminalizes divorce. So we need a civil punishment for a civil crime. Second is about they have, so once the husband is imprisoned, how do you expect him to support the wife financially when he himself
But then
is
there
not
is
even
a
earning?
law for criminalizing dowries also. That is also civil contract, but if they take dowry, they go to the jail.
Yes,
How do you
sir.
justify that?
So that is
That is also a problem.
that is a dowry. It is also a debatable issue, but this is again the Supreme Court's will to create consider a social evil important enough to criminalize it, and
So do you think this
relative
triple talaq is
importance.
not that social evil?
Sir, I was just telling about
Is
the
it triple
people's-
talaq or anything else? Government has criminalized triple talaq. Are you sure?
Sir, it has a specific term which it's the triple talaq, which is instant triple talaq, and triple talaq has variations, but the one which is done instantly has been criminalized. The one where there is gap of 1 month and the other procedures in the according to the Muslim law, that has not been criminalized.
Okay. What is Sabrimala? Why was it in news?
So Sabrimala is a temple where
Which state? Andhra.
Sir, it is in Kerala, Lord Ayappa temple, where women of menstruating age were not allowed to enter, and so there was a PIL with respect to this issue that they wanted to be allowed, and that was.
So what happened?
Sir, it was the gate, like it was opened for women of all ages.
So women are visiting now? Lord Ayappa.
Sir, there is some law and order problem, and a few cases of women entering with proper security detail, etc., has come to light, but it is not. It hasn't been completely normalized.
So what about people's beliefs? I mean, should we crush those beliefs?
Sir, again, the belief system has to change with the societal perspective, and as the moral and the social norms change, it has to evolve. If we and particularly in a Sabrimala case, it has been said that this is a kind of discrimination on the basis of purity, which our constitution itself says that is not allowed in the country. So we have to relatively take a position between faith and what is.
Who will decide what is moral and what is immoral?
Sir, moral and immoral are societal constructs. They are not. There is no
Isn't it a
hard
personal
and
thing?
far. Yes, sir.
Isn't it a personal thing?
Yes, sir. So again, it is
No,
a.
personal or societal?
Sir, I think the personal value, but the personal definition of moral and immoral gets created because of the societal. There is a connect between what you personally consider moral based on the society you have around you and what is considered.
So which should
morally
you
correct.
follow? When there are certain societal norms
Yes, sir.
which are moral, so should we follow those, or we should go by our own choice, our own conscience?
Sir, the person has you have a conscience where if there is something which is not totally agreeable to you, can be thought of being left out, but sir, it totally depends on the situation and the thing we are talking about and what your conscience tells you, I think.
Bhumika, recently position of governor was in debate. Means debate was revolving around whether we really need position of governor because of certain controversies. So what do you think? Really we need position of governor?
Sir, so the governor is the center's agent, and to
What?
maintain is
Not the
the
center's agent. Where is it written?
Sir, not the center's agent. I mean that the
Structure suggests it.
structure suggests that there is a state government, and then the governor acts as the representative of the union structure. So it is meant to ensure unity in the different states of the country, and the
Position of governor-
functioning of the
Position of governor ensures unity of state.
Sir, the state with respect to the overall structure of the country, in the sense that the coordination, the kind of linkages you have are maintained, the federation is maintained, and it stays united. So that is why.
Okay, suppose to reduce this controversy, can you suggest some concrete reforms in the position of governor?
Sir, with respect to governor, we can consider reforms like that the governor should not be actively involved in general politics of that state, or has pure allegiance with any particular political party, and there could be a proper appointment structure where you could seek advice from the chief ministers and the so that there is a cohesive machinery, and it is not
Suppose we are writing in the constitution that the person who is appointed as a governor should not be a political person. Okay, the person will come from some different backgrounds, means some educational background, or different some intellectual areas, or different dignitaries. So, is it a good solution? It's a good reform.
Sir, it can be a good reform if you feel that the people from different backgrounds are adept in their knowledge of state issues and the administrative point of view. That will depend on the selection process, I believe. But not being politically active is a much required step that we
But
need.
governor position is a political person. Like in medical field, we need doctors.
Yes.
Means expert in medical science. Engineering field, we need engineers. So it's a
Yes.
political position. So that political experience is also needed. And what will happen about it? So person from research sector is coming there and not having political experience. So he may not be able to take decisions into some complex situations. Again, he will remain dependent on central government. Then.
Sir, in that case, we can ensure that in that particular state there is no active role. Like if you are putting somebody who is active in a farer state and does not have any direct relations with the government of that state can be involved.
Is there any criteria mentioned for appointment of government?
Sir,
He should be an agent of the center, first criteria, as you told.
yes, sir. Sir, there is no defined criteria.
What is written in the constitution?
So that a governor has to be appointed as the executive head of the state.
Citizen of India, age.
Yes, sir.
Everything.
Yes. Those are the criteria.
Bhumika, last question for you. Now, some people are talking about reforms in UPSC.
Yes.
Okay. So, can you give some, can you suggest certain reforms? Because you are a student, you also know certain problems, or you can also give contribution towards modernization of civil services or making it more relevant. So, what are your suggestions to, can I say, make our civil services up to date, more honest?
Sir, with respect to
Examination, means my focus is only on examination.
yeah. Sir, in UPSC reforms, examination reforms, one thing that I personally feel is that the entire process, which is a year long, can basically be shortened. Something like a prelims exam can be conducted more than once, because it it creates a very long wait for aspirants and in their substantial years of employment. And other than that, we have. Sir, I think the new reforms in itself, the examination pattern of mains have been very impactful and are genuinely nice. That is it.
So, with your permission, I would like to ask one question, sir. So, you have got this Best Country Profile Award.
Yes.
What is this?
Sir, this was in a Model United Nations conference where the UN model is simulated for students to have an understanding of how it works, and I was a representative there, so that is where I was.
So, what is India's demand for a model UN?
Sir, for India, there is a consideration about United Nations reforms where we look for, particularly in the Security Council, we want reforms so that the number of permanent members and non-permanent members increase and it becomes more inclusive of the world and the uprising in countries in the world.
What about voting rights?
So voting rights in.
I mean, is there any demand from India's side?
So voting rights in the permanent council, I'm asking.
Whatever you know, you tell me.
Yes, sir. Again, it is that because only five countries have veto power, so we would want a more a voting system where the needs of the.
So, what is India's proposal in that regard? There is a crystal clear proposal also, right?
Sir, I'm not aware.
Okay. What is World Bank Group?
So World Bank Group is it is a group of World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and there are other organs also like.
What is OBOR?
Sir, OBOR is China's One Belt, One Road initiative, which is meant to recreate the ancient Silk Route and throughout Eurasia and create sea routes and land routes in the Asian and European region.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bhumika.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day.
Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from the Unique Academy. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned.